Which ethical decision-making model is most appropriate when faced with a dilemma where a rehabilitation counselor must choose between maintaining client confidentiality and the duty to warn third parties of potential harm? Explain the process involved in applying this model. Answer: one of the most appropriate ethical decision-making models in this scenario is the Tarvidas integrative decision-making model. This model integrates both ethical and practical considerations while ensuring a structured approach to resolving ethical dilemmas. The model includes the following steps: interpreting the situation through awareness and fact-finding. The counselor should first gather all the facts regarding the situation, understanding the legal and ethical implications of breaching confidentiality and the potential harm to third parties. Formulating an ethical decision. Based on the facts, the counselor must consider the ethical guidelines from the Code of Professional Ethics for Rehabilitation Counselors, particularly confidentiality, Section A.3. B. And the duty to protect, Section B.1. C. The principle of non-malfeasance. Do no harm may justify breaching confidentiality if third parties are at risk. Weighing competing interests. The counselor should balance the client's right to privacy with the duty to warn third parties. The counselor must also consider the legal requirements for mandatory reporting, if applicable, and seek supervision or legal counsel if needed. Implementing the decision. After making a decision, the counselor should document the decision-making process and take action such as informing the relevant authorities or third parties in compliance with state laws and ethical codes. This model helps ensure a thorough analysis of both ethical obligations and legal duties, prioritizing client safety and ethical integrity. Mrs. Roberts has been seeing a rehabilitation counselor, Mr. Taylor, for several months after sustaining a severe work-related injury. During one session, Mrs. Roberts reveals she is experiencing increasing emotional distress and mentions having thoughts of harming herself. Mr. Taylor is aware of his duty to maintain confidentiality but is also concerned for her immediate safety. What steps should Mr. Taylor take in this situation, and how should he balance ethical and legal considerations? Answer: Mr. Taylor is faced with a conflict between confidentiality and the duty to protect his client. According to the Code of Professional Ethics for Rehabilitation Counselor (RCC), counselors have a duty to act when a client presents a serious risk to themselves or others, Section B.1. C. Duty to warn and protect. Steps Mr. Taylor should take. Assess the immediacy of the threat. Mr. Taylor should assess Mrs. Roberts' risk of self-harm using clinical judgment and standard risk assessment tools. He must evaluate whether there is an imminent threat that requires immediate intervention. Consult the Code of Ethics. Mr. Taylor should refer to the Ethical Code, which permits breaching confidentiality in life-threatening situations, Section B.1. C. He should also consider any state laws on mandatory reporting of self-harm threats. Take protective action. If Mrs. Roberts is at imminent risk, Mr. Taylor should take steps to protect her, such as contacting emergency services or involving a crisis intervention team. It may also be appropriate to inform Mrs. Roberts' family or other relevant parties, with her consent if possible. Documentation and follow-up. Mr. Taylor should document the session thoroughly, noting his decision-making process and the steps taken to ensure Mrs. Roberts' safety. He must continue to provide support and follow-up on her emotional and psychological well-being. By prioritizing Mrs. Roberts' safety while adhering to ethical guidelines, Mr. Taylor can manage the situation responsibly and ethically. Describe the ethical considerations involved in managing dual relationships in rehabilitation counseling and provide examples of situations where dual relationships may become problematic. Answer: dual relationships in rehabilitation counseling occur when a counselor has multiple roles with a client, such as being both a counselor and a friend or business partner. The Code of Professional Ethics for Rehabilitation Counselors explicitly cautions against dual relationships that may impair the counselor's objectivity or risk exploitation or harm to the client. Section 8.5a. Key ethical considerations include power dynamics. Counselors must be aware of the inherent power imbalance in the therapeutic relationship. Engaging in a dual relationship could exploit this imbalance, leading to impaired judgment or boundaries. Conflict of interest. A dual relationship may lead to conflict of interest where the counselor's personal or financial interests could cloud their professional obligations. Client autonomy. Dual relationships could hinder a client's ability to make independent decisions, especially if they feel obligated to maintain the relationship due to the counselor's authority. Examples of problematic dual relationships. Social relationships. A counselor starts a friendship with a client outside of therapy, leading to blurred boundaries between personal and professional interactions. Business transactions. A counselor hires a client for personal work, creating a conflict where financial interests may influence the counselor's professional decisions. Romantic relationships. A counselor enters into a romantic relationship with a current or former client, violating ethical codes and potentially causing harm. Ethical guidelines emphasize that counselors should avoid dual relationships unless it is clear that such relationships will not harm the client. If unavoidable, the counselor should establish clear boundaries and seek supervision or consultation. What are the legal and ethical implications of failing to report suspected child abuse or neglectors? A rehabilitation counselor. Cite the relevant laws and ethical guidelines. Answer: rehabilitation counselors are mandated reporters under many state and federal laws, meaning they are legally required to report any suspicion of child abuse or neglect. Failure to do so can have serious legal and ethical consequences. Legal implications. Mandatory reporting laws. Most states have laws that require counselors to report suspected child abuse to Child Protective Services or law enforcement. Failure to comply with these laws can result in criminal charges, fines, and the revocation of a counselor's license. Liability for harm. If a counselor fails to report abuse and the child suffers further harm, the counselor could be held legally liable for negligence. Ethical implications. Code of Professional Ethics for Rehabilitation Counselors, Section B.1c. The Ethical Code requires counselors to take appropriate action when there is evidence of abuse. This includes making reports to the proper authorities to protect the child. Duty to protect. Ethically, rehabilitation counselors have a responsibility to protect vulnerable populations, such as children, even if it requires breaching confidentiality. In the context of rehabilitation counseling, explain the importance of obtaining informed consent from clients and outline the key components that must be included in the informed consent process. Answer: informed consent is a fundamental ethical and legal requirement in rehabilitation counseling. It ensures that clients are fully aware of the nature, risks, benefits, and limitations of the counseling process before agreeing to participate. Key components of informed consent. Disclosure of information. The counselor must provide clear, understandable information about the nature of the counseling relationship, the services offered, and the potential risks and benefits. This includes discussing confidentiality and its limits, e.g., mandatory reporting of harm, voluntariness. Clients must agree to participate in counseling voluntarily without any form of coercion. They must also be informed of their right to withdraw consent at any time. Competency. The client must be capable of understanding the information presented and making an informed decision. For clients with cognitive impairments or minors, consent may need to be obtained from a legal guardian. Documentation. Informed consent should be documented in writing with the client's signature indicating that they understand the terms and agree to participate. Discuss the role of interdisciplinary collaboration in rehabilitation counseling and provide an example of how a rehabilitation counselor can effectively work with other professionals to enhance client outcomes. Answer: interdisciplinary collaboration in rehabilitation counseling involves working with various professionals, such as medical doctors, psychologists, occupational therapists, and vocational rehabilitation specialists, to provide comprehensive care for clients. This collaborative approach is crucial for addressing the multifaceted needs of clients recovering from disabilities or injuries. Benefits of interdisciplinary collaboration. Holistic client care. Combining the expertise of various professionals allows for a more thorough assessment of the client's needs and the development of a comprehensive rehabilitation plan. Improved outcomes. Collaborative efforts can lead to better client outcomes as different professionals bring unique perspectives and skills to the treatment process, enhancing the effectiveness of interventions. Efficient resource utilization. By sharing resources and knowledge, interdisciplinary teams can minimize duplication of efforts and streamline services for clients. Example of effective collaboration. A rehabilitation counselor working with a client recovering from a stroke might collaborate with a physical therapist to address mobility issues, a psychologist to manage emotional distress, and a vocational rehabilitation specialist to help the client return to work. The counselor can facilitate regular team meetings to discuss the client's progress and adjust the rehabilitation plan as needed, ensuring all professionals are aligned in their approaches and objectives. The Code of Professional Ethics for Rehabilitation Counselors, Section A.6, emphasizes the importance of collaboration and communication among professionals to serve the best interests of clients. Explain the concept of ethical use of technology and social media in rehabilitation counseling, including potential risks and best practices to mitigate these risks. Answer: The ethical use of technology and social media in rehabilitation counseling refers to the responsible and professional use of digital tools to enhance communication and service delivery while safeguarding client confidentiality and welfare. Potential risks: confidentiality breaches. Sharing client information on social media or through unsecured platforms can lead to breaches of confidentiality, violating ethical standards and legal requirements. Misrepresentation: professionals may inadvertently misrepresent their qualifications or the services they offer through social media, leading to misinformation. Dual relationships: using social media can blur the boundaries between professional and personal relationships, creating potential dual relationships that can compromise client welfare. Best practices: establish clear policies. Rehabilitation counselors should develop and communicate clear guidelines regarding the use of technology and social media in their practice, including what constitutes appropriate online behavior. Secure communication platforms: utilize encrypted and secure communication platforms for any client interactions online to protect confidentiality. Educate clients. Counselors should educate clients on the risks of sharing personal information on social media and encourage them to maintain privacy. Monitor digital presence. Counselors should regularly monitor their own digital presence to ensure professional boundaries are maintained and to avoid engaging with clients inappropriately online. The Code of Professional Ethics for Rehabilitation Counselors, Section A.3d highlights the importance of maintaining professional boundaries and safeguarding client information when using technology. In rehabilitation counseling, what is the significance of record-keeping and documentation standards, and what are the legal implications of failing to maintain proper records? Answer: record-keeping and documentation are critical components of rehabilitation counseling, serving both ethical and legal purposes. Proper documentation ensures continuity of care, supports treatment planning, and protects both clients and counselors. Significance of record-keeping: continuity of care. Accurate and detailed records provide a comprehensive view of the client's history, progress, and treatment plans, facilitating effective communication among all professionals involved in the client's care. Legal protection: proper documentation can serve as evidence in case of disputes or legal actions, protecting the counselor from potential malpractice claims. Quality assurance: documentation allows for ongoing assessment of the effectiveness of interventions and helps identify areas for improvement in practice. Legal implications of inadequate record-keeping. Negligence claims: failing to maintain adequate records can result in claims of negligence if a client suffers harm due to lack of documented follow-up or intervention. Regulatory consequences: regulatory bodies may impose sanctions on counselors who do not comply with legal requirements for record-keeping, which can include fines or loss of licensure. Client rights: clients have the right to access their records. Inadequate documentation may impede their ability to review their treatment history, violating ethical and legal standards. The Code of Professional Ethics for Rehabilitation Counselors, Section A.5b underscores the importance of maintaining accurate records that reflect the client's treatment and progress, adhering to relevant laws and regulations regarding confidentiality and documentation. What are the critical ethical considerations in the assessment and evaluation process within rehabilitation counseling, and how should counselors ensure fairness and objectivity in their evaluations? Answer: the assessment and evaluation process in rehabilitation counseling involves gathering information to understand the client's needs, strengths, and barriers to recovery. Ethical considerations are paramount to ensure that assessments are fair, objective, and culturally competent. Key ethical considerations: informed consent. Counselors must obtain informed consent before conducting assessments, ensuring clients understand the purpose, procedures, and potential outcomes of the evaluation process. Cultural competence. Assessments must be sensitive to the client's cultural background and personal experiences. Counselors should use culturally relevant assessment tools and interpret results within the context of the client's cultural framework, avoiding bias. Counselors must strive to remain objective and avoid biases that could influence the assessment process. This includes being aware of personal beliefs and values that may affect judgment. Confidentiality. Counselors must protect the confidentiality of assessment results and only share information with relevant parties who have a legitimate need to know. Ensuring fairness and objectivity. Use of standardized tools. Counselors should use validated and standardized assessment tools that are appropriate for the client population, minimizing the risk of bias. Training and supervision. Continuous professional development and supervision can help counselors maintain objectivity and stay updated on best practices in assessment. Peer review. Engaging in peer review of assessment outcomes can help ensure that evaluations are fair and based on sound evidence. The Code of Professional Ethics for Rehabilitation Counselors, Section 8.3, emphasizes the need for counselors to conduct assessments with integrity, fairness, and respect for the dignity of clients. Mr. Anderson, a rehabilitation counselor, discovers that one of his clients, MS Lee, has been posting negative comments about him on social media after feeling dissatisfied with her treatment. Mr. Anderson is concerned about how this could affect their professional relationship and is unsure how to address the situation. What ethical guidelines should Mr. Anderson consider, and what steps should he take to resolve the issue? Answer: Mr. Anderson must navigate this situation carefully, considering both ethical guidelines and the potential impact on the therapeutic relationship. Ethical guidelines to consider: confidentiality. While Mr. Anderson is aware of MS Lee's public comments, he should not disclose any information about her treatment or respond publicly, as this could violate her confidentiality. Professional boundaries. Engaging in a public dispute could further damage the counselor-client relationship and blur professional boundaries. Duty to address concerns. The Ethical Code encourages counselors to address client concerns directly. Mr. Anderson should seek to understand MS Lee's dissatisfaction in a constructive manner. Steps to resolve the issue. Private communication. Mr. Anderson should reach out to MS Lee privately to discuss her concerns. He can express empathy for her feelings and encourage an open dialogue about her experience. Feedback mechanism. He should create a safe space for feedback, allowing MS Lee to share her thoughts on her treatment. This can help Mr. Anderson understand her perspective and identify areas for improvement. Just treatment plan. Based on the conversation, Mr. Anderson may need to adjust the treatment plan to better meet MS Lee's needs, which could help rebuild trust in the therapeutic relationship. Monitor social media. Mr. Anderson should monitor his digital presence and ensure that professional boundaries are maintained. He can also educate MS Lee about appropriate communication channels for discussing concerns. By approaching the situation ethically and professionally, Mr. Anderson can work towards restoring the therapeutic relationship while adhering to the ethical guidelines outlined in the Code of Professional Ethics for Rehabilitation Counselors, Section 8.3d. Explain the concept of reliability and validity in the context of vocational assessments. Why are these psychometric properties crucial for making rehabilitation decisions? Answer: reliability refers to the consistency of an assessment tool, whether it produces the same results under consistent conditions. In vocational assessments, reliability ensures that the same individual's career aptitude or skills inventory yields similar outcomes across different occasions or settings. For instance, if a person takes the same interest profiling test multiple times, a reliable test should show consistent results. Validity, on the other hand, measures whether the tool assesses what it purports to assess. In rehabilitation, validity ensures that the vocational assessments accurately measure the individual's abilities, skills, and interests in relation to potential career paths. For example, a career aptitude test should measure specific job-related skills and not unrelated personality traits. These psychometric properties are critical because they ensure that the assessment results are both trustworthy and applicable. Inaccurate or inconsistent assessments could lead to inappropriate recommendations, impeding the rehabilitation process and leading to poor vocational outcomes. How should a rehabilitation counselor approach the assessment of a client from a different cultural background to ensure cultural competence and ethical practice? Answer: to approach assessments with cultural competence, rehabilitation counselors should understand the client's cultural context, recognize how cultural values, beliefs, and practices may influence the client's understanding of disability and rehabilitation. For example, certain cultures may have differing views on independence, which can affect how they approach rehabilitation goals. Use culturally appropriate assessments. Ensure that the assessment tools are either standardized for the client's cultural group or are interpreted with caution. If not, some tests like personality inventories may have inherent cultural biases that could skew results if not accounted for. Avoid ethnocentrism. Counselors should refrain from imposing their cultural assumptions and instead develop a culturally sensitive rehabilitation plan. Consult with cultural mediators or interpreters. When necessary, use professionals who can help bridge any communication or cultural gaps. Mr. Anderson, a 45-year-old factory worker, was recently injured on the job and can no longer perform tasks requiring heavy lifting. His rehabilitation counselor suggests a vocational assessment to help identify new career paths. Mr. Anderson expresses concerns, stating that he has never worked in any other field and fears that his lack of formal education will limit his options. What steps should Mr. Anderson's rehabilitation counselor take to help him understand the purpose of the vocational assessment and address his concerns? What type of vocational assessments would be most appropriate in this situation? Answer: the rehabilitation counselor should first explain to Mr. Anderson that vocational assessments are designed to identify transferable skills, interests, and potential job areas that align with his current abilities, rather than focusing on previous job experience alone. This can alleviate his fears about his background being a limiting factor. The counselor should use a skills inventory to identify any transferable skills that Mr. Anderson may possess from his factory work, such as problem solving, teamwork, or machine operation, which can be applicable in other job settings. Conduct an interest profiling test to determine which types of jobs Mr. Anderson might enjoy or feel motivated to pursue in the future. Perform a functional capacity evaluation (FCE) to assess Mr. Anderson's current physical limitations, ensuring that his new job will not exacerbate his injury. By integrating the results of these assessments, the counselor can help Mr. Anderson identify realistic and fulfilling career paths that do not require extensive physical labor, even if formal education is limited. When interpreting a medical report, how can a rehabilitation counselor distinguish between prognosis and diagnosis, and why is this distinction important in formulating a rehabilitation plan? Answer: a diagnosis refers to the identification of a disease or medical condition based on clinical symptoms, tests, and evaluations. For example, a diagnosis might indicate that a client has sustained a spinal cord injury. A prognosis, on the other hand, is a prediction of the likely course or outcome of the condition. For instance, how well the client might recover or the expected long-term impact on their functional abilities. Understanding both terms is crucial because the diagnosis helps determine the client's immediate needs, e.g., medical treatment or interventions. The prognosis helps in planning long-term rehabilitation goals, such as potential job modifications, adaptive equipment, or transitioning into a different career path. The rehabilitation counselor uses the prognosis to guide realistic goal setting and ensure that rehabilitation plans are both achievable and aligned with the client's potential for recovery. What are the ethical considerations when using personality inventories like the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator (MTI) in rehabilitation counseling, and how should results be interpreted? Answer: when using personality inventories such as the MBTI, ethical considerations include informed consent. Clients must understand the purpose of the assessment and how the results will be used. Counselors should explain that the MBTI is not a definitive predictor of career success, but a tool for gaining insight into personality preferences. Confidentiality. Results from psychological assessments should be kept confidential and shared only with individuals who are directly involved in the client's rehabilitation process. Non-discrimination. The results should not be used to limit the client's opportunities or to pigeonhole them into certain career paths based solely on their personality type. Results must be interpreted carefully. The MBTI should be seen as one component of a broader assessment framework, and the counselor must integrate these results with other data, such as skills assessments and functional evaluations, to create a balanced rehabilitation plan. Describe how functional capacity evaluation (FCE) is used in rehabilitation counseling. What key aspects are evaluated, and how does it guide the rehabilitation process? Answer: an FCE is a comprehensive assessment that measures an individual's physical and functional abilities in relation to the demands of work or daily living. The evaluation typically includes physical strength and endurance, testing the client's ability to lift, carry, push, or pull objects, range of motion, assessing flexibility and joint mobility, tolerance to repetitive tasks, evaluating the client's ability to perform tasks repeatedly over time without fatigue, work tolerance, determining how long a client can perform tasks such as sitting, standing, or walking. The results of an FC are used to match job demands with the client's current abilities, determine work restrictions to prevent further injury, develop an appropriate rehabilitation plan, including potential job modifications or accommodations. Why is periodic reassessment critical in the rehabilitation process, and what factors should a rehabilitation counselor consider when deciding the timing and type of reassessment? Answer: periodic reassessment is essential to monitor progress. It helps track the client's improvement or identify any setbacks in their recovery. Adjust rehabilitation plans based on the results. The counselor can modify interventions, goals, or timelines to better suit the client's current needs. When deciding the timing and type of reassessment, the counselor should consider the severity of the injury or disability. More severe conditions may require frequent assessments. The client's rehabilitation goals. If the client is nearing a major goal, e.g., returning to work, a reassessment may be necessary to ensure readiness. Any changes in the client's condition. If there is a significant change in physical or mental status, immediate reassessment may be warranted. Discuss how career aptitude tests differ from interest profiling tests and how each is utilized in developing a rehabilitation plan. Answer: career aptitude tests evaluate a client's natural abilities or skills in specific areas relevant to the workplace, such as logical reasoning, technical skills, or manual dexterity. These tests help identify the jobs or industries where the client's skills would be most applicable. Interest profiling tests, on the other hand, assess the client's personal preferences, motivations, and interests. These tests are used to align career choices with the client's passions, ensuring that they pursue a job they find fulfilling. In a rehabilitation setting, both tests are used together to develop a comprehensive plan. The aptitude test helps ensure the client is capable of performing the tasks required by a certain job, while the interest profile ensures they are motivated to pursue it long term. What is the importance of interdisciplinary collaboration in rehabilitation counseling, and what are some effective strategies for fostering teamwork among professionals from different disciplines? Answer: interdisciplinary collaboration is crucial in rehabilitation counseling because comprehensive care. It allows for a holistic approach to client care, integrating insights and expertise from various fields such as psychology, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and vocational rehabilitation. This results in a more thorough understanding of the client's needs and a more effective rehabilitation plan. Improved outcomes. Research indicates that collaborative approaches can lead to better rehabilitation outcomes as clients receive tailored interventions that address multiple aspects of their health and well-being. Resource sharing. Professionals can share resources, knowledge, and best practices, enhancing the overall effectiveness of the rehabilitation process. Effective strategies for fostering teamwork include regular interdisciplinary meetings, scheduling consistent meetings for professionals to discuss client progress, share insights, and coordinate interventions fosters open communication. Shared documentation systems, implementing electronic health records that all team members can access promotes transparency and ensures everyone is on the same page regarding the client status. Team building activities. Engaging in team building exercises can enhance rapport and mutual respect among team members, leading to more cohesive collaboration. Define roles and responsibilities. Clearly outlining each professional's role in the rehabilitation process helps prevent misunderstandings and overlaps, promoting efficiency. How can cognitive behavioral strategies be integrated into rehabilitation counseling to support clients with mental health concerns as they navigate physical disabilities? Answer: cognitive behavioral strategies (CBT) can be highly effective in rehabilitation counseling for clients facing both physical disabilities and mental health challenges. These strategies can be integrated through cognitive restructuring, helping clients identify and challenge negative thought patterns related to their disability, e.g., feelings of hopelessness or self-blame, and replace them with more positive, realistic thoughts. Goal setting, assisting clients in setting achievable, measurable goals related to their rehabilitation process, which can enhance motivation and provide a sense of accomplishment as they make progress. Behavioral activation, encouraging clients to engage in activities they enjoy or find meaningful, which can improve mood and reduce feelings of isolation often associated with physical disabilities. Problem-solving skills, teaching clients effective problem-solving techniques can empower them to navigate obstacles in their rehabilitation journey, such as dealing with limitations imposed by their condition. Explain Holland's theory of vocational choice. Research. How does it apply when counseling clients with disabilities? Answer: Holland's theory of vocational choice, also known as the RASC model, suggests that people can be categorized into 6 personality types. Realistic are investigative I, artistic A, social S, enterprising E, and conventional C. Each personality type is associated with certain vocational preferences. Holland theorized that people are more satisfied and productive when their work environments match their personality type. When counseling clients with disabilities, the RASC model can help identify careers that align with their interests and abilities while considering their unique limitations. For instance, a client who scores high in the realistic category may prefer hands-on jobs, but if they have a physical disability, rehabilitation counselors can work to find realistic job environments or assistive technologies that accommodate these preferences. This theory encourages focus on both strengths and challenges, ensuring a client-centered approach in developing vocational goals. Relevant law. The Americans with Disabilities Act (ADA) mandates equal opportunity in employment and accommodations to enable clients to find roles suitable to their abilities and personalities. How do supported employment and job coaching strategies assist individuals with severe disabilities in retaining competitive employment? Answer: supported employment and job coaching are critical strategies for individuals with severe disabilities. Supported employment involves placing individuals in competitive jobs with ongoing support, while job coaching refers to one-on-one assistance provided by a coach to help the individual learn job tasks, adapt to the work environment, and improve their performance. Key components of these strategies include assessment of job fit, identifying suitable job opportunities based on the individual's strengths and needs. On-the-job support. Coaches provide hands-on training, helping employees learn tasks, adjust to the workplace, and communicate with employers. Long-term follow-up. Continuous support ensures that clients maintain their job and address challenges that arise over time. The goal of supported employment and job coaching is to ensure that individuals can perform their job independently and meet employer expectations, with modifications made when necessary. Sarah is a 28-year-old woman with a cognitive disability. She has been working as a cashier for 6 months but is struggling with remembering steps in the checkout process. Her employer has expressed concerns about her performance and has requested help. As her rehabilitation counselor, what steps should you take to support Sarah and ensure a job retention? Answer: to support Sarah, the following steps should be taken. Reassessment. Conduct a reassessment of Sarah's abilities and the demands of her current role. This may involve evaluating her cognitive processing challenges and identifying specific areas of difficulty. Job coaching. Introduce a job coach who can provide Sarah with step-by-step guidance on the checkout process. The coach could use task breakdown techniques or visual cues, e.g. flowcharts, to help Sarah remember the steps. Assistive technology. Explore the use of assistive technology, such as a point-of-sale system with prompts or reminders that can help Sarah navigate tasks more effectively. Employer collaboration. Work with the employer to ensure that they understand Sarah's strengths and needs, encouraging them to provide accommodations as required under the ADA, such as additional training or a modified workstation. Long-term follow-up and periodic evaluations can help ensure Sarah continues to succeed in her role. What are the main components of SUPER's lifespan, life-space theory of career development, and how is it applicable to individuals with disabilities? Answer: SUPER's lifespan, life-space theory emphasizes that career development is a lifelong process divided into several stages: growth, exploration, establishment, maintenance, and disengagement. Each stage represents different career tasks individuals must address based on their personal life and career goals. Lifespan. Career choices are influenced by an individual's developmental stage from childhood through adulthood. Lifespace. An individual's roles, e.g. worker, student, homemaker, interact within various life spaces, influencing career development. SUPER introduced the career rainbow to illustrate how different life roles change over time. For individuals with disabilities, this theory is particularly useful as it highlights the importance of considering their changing capacities, interests, and life circumstances across their lifespan. Vocational counseling must be adaptive, helping individuals transition through life roles while considering disability-related barriers and advocating for workplace accommodations where needed. Explain the assessment process for vocational interests, skills, and limitations when working with clients with disabilities. What tools are commonly used? Answer: the assessment of vocational interests, skills, and limitations involves a holistic evaluation of a client's capabilities and preferences to guide vocational planning. This process typically includes interest inventories. Tools like the Strong Interest Inventory or Holland's self-directed search help assess a client's interests and align them with potential career paths. Skills assessment. Vocational skills are assessed through standardized tests, e.g. workies or situational assessments in a work setting to evaluate competencies in specific job tasks. Limitations evaluation. Assessing functional limitations is essential to understand how a disability may impact job performance. This often involves medical evaluations, psychological testing, and job analysis. These tools assist in developing an individualized employment plan that considers both the strengths and challenges of clients with disabilities. What are ADA-compliant workplace accommodations, and how do they differ for physical, cognitive, and sensory disabilities? Answer: ADA-compliant workplace accommodations are modifications or adjustments to a job or work environment that allow employees with disabilities to perform their duties. Accommodations vary based on the type of disability. Physical disabilities may require ergonomic adjustments, modified workstations, ramps, or accessible bathrooms. Cognitive disabilities accommodations could include task segmentation, written instructions, memory aids, or flexible scheduling. Sensory disabilities For individuals with hearing or vision impairments, accommodations might include sign language interpreters, screen readers, or assistive listening devices. Employers are required under the ADA to provide these accommodations unless doing so would cause undue hardship. John, a client with a mild intellectual disability, is preparing for a job interview. He is anxious and feels unprepared. What strategies can you use to help John prepare for the interview and increase his chances of success? Answer: to support John in his interview preparation, mock interviews. Conduct practice interviews where John can become familiar with common questions and how to respond confidently. Focus on positive reinforcement to build his self-esteem. Structured answers. Help John develop simple, structured answers to typical interview questions using role-play techniques. Cue cards. Provide cue cards or visual aids that he can refer to during the interview, if appropriate. Soft skill training. Teach essential skills like maintaining eye contact, listening attentively, and responding to questions calmly. Follow-up support should include providing feedback and encouraging John to remain calm, focusing on his abilities rather than his anxiety. What are the potential barriers that individuals with disabilities may face during the job placement process, and how can rehabilitation counselors help mitigate these barriers? Answer: individuals with disabilities may encounter various barriers during the job placement process, including employer bias. Employers may have misconceptions about the capabilities of individuals with disabilities, leading to discrimination in hiring practices. Mitigation. Counselors can educate employers about the skills and contributions of individuals with disabilities through workshops and training sessions. Lack of accessibility. Job sites may not be physically accessible, limiting opportunities for individuals with mobility impairments. Mitigation. Counselors can advocate for necessary accommodations and modifications to the work environment, such as ramps or accessible restrooms as required under the ADA. Limited job skills. Clients may lack the specific skills needed for available jobs, impacting their employability. Mitigation. Rehabilitation counselors can provide or connect clients to skills training programs or workshops tailored to developing marketable skills. Inadequate support networks. Clients may not have adequate support systems for navigating the job market. Mitigation. Counselors can help clients build networks through community resources, peer support groups, and job fairs that connect them with potential employers. By addressing these barriers proactively, rehabilitation counselors can facilitate a smoother transition for clients into the workforce. Explain the significance of vocational counseling and guidance for individuals with disabilities. What role do rehabilitation counselors play in this process? Answer: vocational counseling and guidance are critical for individuals with disabilities as they provide tailored support to help clients navigate their unique career paths. The significance of this process includes personalized career planning. Counselors assess individual strengths, weaknesses, interests, and career aspirations to develop a personalized vocational plan that aligns with the client's capabilities. Empowerment. Through counseling, individuals gain confidence in their abilities and learn to advocate for their needs in the workplace, fostering self-determination. Skill development. Counselors assist in identifying necessary skills and resources for clients to pursue their desired careers, including training programs and workshops. Job market navigation. Rehabilitation counselors provide valuable insights into job market trends, helping clients understand industry demands and how their skills fit into these markets. Support and resources. Counselors connect clients with support services, assistive technology, and potential employers, providing a comprehensive approach to job placement and retention. Maria is a 34-year-old woman with a hearing impairment who recently graduated with a degree in graphic design. She is applying for jobs in creative agencies but has faced challenges during interviews due to communication barriers. What strategies can you implement to assist Maria in overcoming these challenges and securing employment? Answer: to assist Maria in overcoming communication barriers during her job search and interviews, the following strategies can be implemented. Interview preparation. Conduct mock interviews where Maria can practice answering questions with a focus on clear communication. Use visual aids or sign language interpreters to facilitate the practice sessions. Communication tools. Explore the use of technology that can assist Maria during interviews, such as real-time captioning services or apps that convert speech to text, allowing her to engage effectively with interviewers. Disability disclosure. Guide Maria on when and how to disclose her hearing impairment during interviews. Helping her craft a positive narrative about her disability can empower her and reduce any stigma. Employer education. offer to educate potential employers about effective communication strategies with individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing, networking opportunities. Encourage Maria to network with professionals in her field who may have similar experiences. Connections can lead to job opportunities and provide mentorship.